everyone and welcome to the kitchen. My name is Rachel and I'm just returned from a very enjoyable weekend with friends, and I thought I'd like to share with you my friend James's ghost story. He used to live in Thrupp Close, which is in Mitcham, and he has some very spooky tales to tell about the Eastfield housing estate. So without further ado, I give you James. Thanks all for watching. So we have James here today, and James, what are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about the strange goings on the Eastfield estate.
Oh, lovely.
Lots of paranormal activity on the estate. Unfortunately, it's in the process of being redeveloped, and it's been can be pulled down.
Oh, no.
And there's lots of, it's only about 52 years old, it's not an old estate, and they're going to regenerate it and, you know, bulldoze everything and build loads of new houses and stuff on it. But it has a very, very, not psychic, but very, what's the word?
Spooky?
Spooky, paranormal. And it's not just my house that I lived in, but numerous other people on the estate that have spoken about bits and pieces about all sorts of things that have gone on in the house, which is quite interesting.
So tell us more, James.
Oh, where do I start? We start with Two Thrupp Close first of all.
To what?
Two Thrupp Close, and that's where the family home was. I was born literally 2 months after we moved into the house, brand new house. Part of the estate was still being built. A lot of it was built on apparently ex-plague land. And so when they built on this land, they had to what they call disinfect the earth.
And we took the bubonic plague.
Yes, yeah, we're talking about it 'cause it's built on an old plague cemetery, and there's a big cemetery surrounding it anyway. But yeah, so they had to consecrate obviously the ground, and then they had to apparently disinfect the ground before they could build on it, even though it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Anyway, so I was born in the July. We moved in the April, and I was born in July, so I was one of the first babies to be born on the estate. And the whole thing started at our house then, and the thing was that we had a big kitchen, and in that kitchen my mum had a Silver Cross pram, you know, those big prams.
Yeah.
And she'd left, because it was a townhouse, she'd left me in the kitchen in the Silver Cross pram. I was about 3 months old, and left me downstairs with our dog, and she went upstairs to get something in her bedroom or in the front room upstairs. Anyway, when she came downstairs, I was laying on the floor next to the Silver Cross pram. And I was just on my back, and I wasn't crying. I hadn't fallen out. I hadn't pulled myself up because I couldn't sit up. The dog was in the corner, cowering in the corner. There was no way that the dog managed to get up and get me out of the pram, because if he had done, he would have probably knocked the pram over. And I was just laying on the floor. The doors were locked. There was no one else in the house. It was just me, my mum, and the dog. And my mum has said to this day that she doesn't know how I ended up on the floor next to that pram, because there was no way on this earth that I could have got out there by myself.
How old did you say you was?
I was probably about 2-3 months old.
So it's impossible.
Impossible.
That's scary enough.
Yeah, and the dog was absolutely terrified, and it was cowering in the corner of the kitchen, absolutely terrified. So whatever it was, obviously picked me up and put me on the floor, which is really, really odd. And any normal person would say, oh, that's absolutely ridiculous, how can that be so? And you know, it's impossible. And my mum's such a skeptic about things like that, so that was the first thing. Then there was knocking you know, knocking on the toilet door and things like that, on the bathroom door and bits and pieces like that. But then there were other things as well. There was number 73 Clay Avenue, which my brother lived in. He owned the house with his then girlfriend, and they bought it off his then girlfriend's parents or mother. That house was really haunted. They had all sorts of problems in there. There was apparitions in there. There was, because we have balconies, and you know, figures staring through balcony windows, door handles in the house going up and down like that. Also other things like the louver doors, you know, those spring doors that once actually sprung open wide and then slammed shut, bits and pieces like that. So that was 73 Clay Avenue, and there were other houses along that side of the estate where bath taps. A friend of mine, Sarah Jane, her mum was running a bath, phone rang, turned the bath off, ran downstairs, answered the phone, was on the phone in the front room, chatting away, and all of a sudden there was all water coming through the ceiling, and when she went back upstairs, both taps were full on in the bath, but she turned those taps off. There was also another one along that row of houses in Clay Avenue, with a thing called, do you remember Kaplunk?
Yeah.
And they could hear, I had two daughters upstairs, and in the middle of the night, the parents woke up and they could hear Kaplunk. They were like, I can hear Kaplunk, blah, blah, blah. It's really just Kaplunk. You could hear the marbles falling and stuff. And they were like, go to bed, you know, go to the kids upstairs, go to bed. Anyway, still nothing. And anyway, it happened again. Anyway, so mother got upstairs and went upstairs. Both kids were fast asleep in bed, and there was no sign of Kaplunk or whatever it was. So there was other things, and there was other things as well. Again on Clay Avenue, where Denise, Denise is on the Eastfield's Facebook page. Her daughter Anita had something in her front bedroom, and it freaked her out so much she actually jumped out of her bedroom window onto the balcony below, because something, whatever it was so terrifying, she had to get out of that, and that she really did hurt herself. So there is a long line of things that have happened on that estate.
Terrible. Where is it?
It's in Mitcham, it's in Merton, and it's near a train station called Mitcham Eastfields, which you can get to from like London Bridge or Victoria. But yeah.
Gosh. And did you say it's going to be knocked down?
Yeah, it's been regenerated. I went back to the estate recently and had a look around. And the estate, when it was built, it won so many awards. It was like, you know, heralded the new estate, because it had all this metal cladding, and it was amazing, and it was really won all sorts of awards. And now you look at it, and it was just completely run down into the ground and stuff. Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of, you know, I think a lot of people on my Facebook group have commented on supernatural things happening in their houses, and we don't know whether it's anything to do with the fact that it was on Plague Cemetery or whether it's because it's near a cemetery. Yeah, so it's quite interesting, quite an interesting thing.
Quite spooky. I've got
Very
goosebumps.
This was the estate when it was first built.
Wow, it's beautiful, isn't it? It looks a bit like a Butlins holiday camp.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And
that is lovely. And what year was this, do you think?
That was 1974, I believe.
Wow.
That was 2 years after it was built.
That
it was
lovely.
still being built at the time. And it's still there now. There's like, they're doing it in different phases. The first phase is where I lived, and then they'll go over the whole estate and knock it down and rebuild as they're going along. So yeah.
Amazing.
So yes. There you go.
Oh, I'm still a bit scared about when you was left. someone lifted you out of the
that's
pram.
really odd,
That is
because
scary.
that is strange, and my mum still to this day does not know how that happened.
No.
There's just no way, because if that dog had jumped up and pulled me out, I would have been on my face, or I would have been in a bad way, because I would have hit the floor, because it was a tiled floor, so I would have been injured, but I wasn't. I was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with me at all.
So weird, really weird.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that with us, James.
It's an absolute pleasure. Short and sweet.
Yes, short and sweet.
I'm sure there'll be more to add to it later.
Yes.